Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us for this first AMA with GMO. We're delighted to be here with Ken Nakamura. Ken is the CEO of GMO Trust and I guess the designer of the yen stablecoin. We're delighted to be here with him. Ken, can you please introduce yourself? Tell us, about what you're doing, the G yen stablecoin and Z dollar, and let's chit chat about it.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Ken Nakamura. So GMO Trust is the issuer with the world's first regulated Japanese yen-backed stablecoin, and we simultaneously launched a US dollar-backed stablecoin called the ZUSD. So we officially launched on the 1st of March this year, and we got our New York limited purpose trust license at the end of the year in 2020. So GMO Trust is one subsidiary of a GMO Internet Group, which is a large conglomerate in the IT and financial space. So we've been operating since 1991. 100 companies affiliated across the globe, 10 of them publicly listed in Japan. So we have a huge, footprint, mainly in the Asian Pacific region. Obviously, we're big in Japan, but we're expanding into, Southeast Asia, Thailand, Singapore, etc. And we operate obviously in the U.S. and Europe as well, and we're just expanding significantly. So our core business is the infrastructure business. So in the U.S., I think most people are familiar with GoDaddy. So that's our core business. So domain names and servers and cloud services, we have over 80% market share in Japan. And we've gotten into the financial space over a decade ago, starting with the FX brokerage business called the GMO Click, which does, in terms of volume, we're the largest FX brokerage firm in the world. And we also have a regulated internet bank. We have a regulated cryptocurrency exchange that only operates and services Japanese residents. We have a fairly large Bitcoin mining business up and running in Texas. And we've gotten into the stablecoin business this year. So we're just getting started, but we have a bright future ahead.
That sounds great. Thank you, Ken. I've been trading foreign exchange for at least 25 years, and I know I don't look at my years, but I've run into GMO so many times over those years just because the retail foreign exchange trader in Japan is an absolute monster. It's a juggernaut. And when I think of, I think that $750 billion of dollar yen trades on a daily basis. And I think that at least a third of that comes from retail foreign exchange traders in Japan. And it's a juggernaut. And within that, you're the biggest player.
Yeah, exactly. So I think recently we've crossed the $1 trillion mark on a monthly trading volume basis. So yeah, we are still growing, going strong.
That's just incredible. Now, foreign exchange traditionally is a leverage product. But the stable coin is not going to be a leverage product. So the way that I think of the stable coin is I think it's sort of like a safe harbor in that a lot of the times folks will buy Bitcoin, they'll buy Ethereum, they'll buy lots of crypto, but they don't want to move it back into fiat immediately. So they get a choice right now. Right now you can put it into USDC, let's say, or Tether. But you're offering a new option, which is the Z dollar, the dollar stable coin, or the G yen. Now, dollar yen today is at like 111.45. If I think that dollar yen is going to go lower, as in the yen is going to strengthen against the dollar, then rather than putting it into something like USDC, I'd rather get out of my Bitcoin if I wanted to take some profit or take it off the table and put it into G yen. And I think that retail foreign exchange traders and folks that are in the crypto world start to understand that it's not just about USDC anymore. Now you can actually make a decision. And if people can make a decision between, let's say, the dollar stablecoin or a yen stablecoin, if they believe that the US Congress is going to absolutely print trillions and trillions of dollars, thus weakening the US dollar, then I think that the GN is going to be a natural alternative for folks, and where they'll probably flock.
Yeah, I totally agree. So Japanese yen is the second most liquid currency in the world. And if you just take a USD JPY forex pair, that's the the second most traded pair. And a lot of times, historically speaking, I think JPY is seen as sort of like a safe haven currency against the US dollar. And it's fairly stable too, right? Of course, if you look at like 10 to 15 years range, it can range between like $80 against, 80 JPY against the dollar, all the way up to like 120 JPY. But if you look at a shorter term, like 3 to 5 years, it's like 100 yen to like 110 JPY. So it's fairly stable, and I think it's a good way for sophisticated forex trader who are in the crypto space as well to really take advantage of the options out there. So we're the JPY stablecoin issuer, but if you look around, there's the Brazilian real, there's the Turkish lira, there's Indonesian rupiah stablecoins out there, and I think there's going to be more and more stablecoins backed by different currencies coming up. So having those options is great. Forex market is like more than like 1,000 times bigger than cryptocurrency. It's by far the largest market in the financial space. So
yeah, well, but you're looking at, like, Bitcoin does, I think, $40 billion a night in volume. Dollar yen on its own does 750 billion. It does dwarf the crypto space significantly, but I can see all FX trading moving to stablecoins. When I was at Morgan Stanley, I was there for 10 years, and the last year, I think we made $1 billion between 220 people. But only 20 of us were in the front office trading, 200 were in the back office dealing with settlement and what we called nostro accounts, or bank accounts around the world. Now, in the old days, the days when I was at Morgan Stanley, if I traded the yen, I'd sell the dollar, buy the yen, and the yen I'd be buying from one bank account to another bank account, and it was a 2-day settlement. And I had to do this for every currency that I traded, and I had people to make sure that the money moved from one bank account to another, always a T+2 or T+1 settlement. On a weekend, that's a long time. When Lehman went under, we were waiting for payments to come from Lehman Brothers 2 days later, after September 15th. It's a bit of a pain, and it's also very inefficient, but the stable coin gives you something new. And my understanding is that the stable coin also trades on the weekend. So when I think about trading dollar yen back at Morgan Stanley days, or when I ran a proprietary trading desk at Merrill, we'd stop trading Friday at 5 o'clock. We'd pick up trading again on Sunday at, I think, 2 or 3 o'clock, whenever New Zealand came in. But that's a long wait, and a lot of things happen on a Friday night, on a Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and the whole wait until the next, the weekend is over. That's what you do with equities. But currencies should be more like crypto, where you're trading 24 hours, 7 days a week. There's instant settlement, and that's what the GN really gives us. It gives us something now for 7 days a week, an instant settlement, and you don't have to have multiple bank accounts anymore. You can hold it all in your wallet. In fact, the GN on the one that we're going to be trading is on the ERC standard. It's on Ethereum. So you can hold it in your MetaMask wallet and walk around with it all day long and not worry about the settlement issue when it comes down to your bank. And if you want to go out there and use it for payment purposes, you could do so. And I think that that's really incredible. So if I'm a Morgan Stanley or Goldman Sachs or a company like that that's in the foreign exchange business, I'm probably going to want to start trading in the GN. One, because I don't want to have my bosses say, why didn't you trade out of it on a Saturday when the news came out? Oh no, I waited until Sunday. Forget about it. You need to have exposure where you can get exposure.
Yeah, good point. You're obviously the professional FX trader. I am not, but that's from what I'm hearing from a lot of traditional FX brokerage firms. They are, they talk about the same thing. They are looking into crypto. They're assessing the overall market risk, etc. I think it's pretty soon where a lot of these firms would start sprinting into getting into these asset class. I think it's just have been a little bit slow because of all the regulatory scrutiny coming up. You just got to be careful, right? But I think once everything clears up, they're just going to sprint into the market. And then, I do see a future where digital forex is going to be the thing, right? So, behind the scene settlements between the brokers, absolutely. It's T+0, but it's like near instantaneous, right? Of course, there's Ethereum network congestion issues, etc. But what's interesting for us is we're going to be taking a multi-chain approach where based on the use cases of these stable coins, they can choose whatever the blockchain they want to. So we are looking into other options other than Ethereum. And that's going to be, I think that's going to bring a lot of efficiency in the market, and the comfort level will go up for many institutional traders.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of another exciting thing is for payments, and payments we don't really talk about, but the OCC, that's the Office of Comptroller and Currency. They're the guys that regulate the federally chartered banks in the U.S. They came out in January. They said, listen, look at stable coins. Look at stable coins because ACH and SWIFT are not as efficient. And so I think at the time they were sort of pointing towards USDC, which also was registered through the NYDFS, New York Department of Financial Services, just like you did. Now, the yen stablecoin, I don't think was really around in January. Maybe it was just about to be announced.
Right.
And so I think it's pretty exciting that if the OCC is telling banks that for payments purposes, they should start looking at this, and I think that's pretty important. And if I'm not mistaken, GMO is pretty big in the payments world in Japan.
That is correct. We have a company called GMO Payment Gateway that primarily operates in. We're the number one payment gateway provider in Japan. We have operations in Taiwan and other Asian countries.
I mean, when I think about ACH and SWIFT, that's a quadrillion dollars a year business in terms of the volumes that go through there. So the GN is going to be interesting, I think, to the retail FX trader, the institutional FX trader, but also any corporation that deals with payments in Japan. Now, it's not yet legal in Japan, the GN. So this is sort of, if you have exposure towards a Japanese company and you need to make a payment, you could either buy the yen and have it sit there in a bank account, or you could buy the GN and have it sit in your wallet until such time as you need to then transfer it back into yen in the future or dollars in the future. But certainly, do you have any idea about when Japanese authorities might look at it?
I'm hoping by summer next year, but who knows, right? But one thing I can tell you is that we do have an ongoing conversation with the Japanese regulator, and we try to, because we're the only Japanese company issuing a stable coin under the supervision of DFS. And from a regulatory framework to use cases, FSA, Japanese regulator just has to be educated, right? So that's what we do. They are taking this seriously from what I'm seeing and hearing. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of time, but with any regulators, it'll take time. So it's not going to happen this year. Hopefully next year.
Now, the BIS came out just this morning with an article. They said that using stablecoins can save at least 50% of the costs of traditional transfers, money transfers between corporations, banks, whatever. And obviously the speed is dazzling. That's got to help the cause when it comes down to stablecoins like GN.
I think one question is, a lot of countries are going to come up with CBDC, but what's the technology behind it? Is it a blockchain based, or is it something else? And at a country level, for them to like really efficiently transact between one another, the infrastructure has to be there, interoperability has to be there, and so forth. But I think it'll take time for everything to build up. But yeah, it's quite exciting. Some people say, okay, so if the CBDC comes out, we're not going to be needing stable coins. But I don't think, my view is different. CBDCs and stable coins will coexist. From just from a retail use cases perspective, usability perspective, distribution perspective, I think private sectors do a lot better job of that. So, if there's a world where CBDCs and stable coins can interact, and we back our stable coin with a physical fiat currency right now, but if you can back it with a CBDC in a API-driven way or tech-driven way, that's even better for us, right? So I'm generally very excited with the CBDC.
Now, I should probably tell our users that there's nothing that we're saying right now that should be seen as financial advice. We're not giving any financial advice whatsoever. We're just discussing the yen stablecoin. But on the back of that, I know that when I hold the yen stablecoin in my wallet, there's no interest that's charged to me. I'm not paying any negative yield. But if I hold Japanese yen in a bank account in Japan, I pay the bank because there's negative interest rates. So it seems to me that if I've got a choice of holding yen or holding exposure to the yen, it's actually beneficial financially for someone if they're not actually paying the bank in order to hold it in their wallet.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, if you're a Japanese resident who has a bank account, like local onshore Japanese bank account, of course you don't get charged a negative interest rate. But if any Japanese yen dominated bank accounts outside of Japan, you get charged a negative yield. So as a DFS regulated company, we do have to hold our fiat currencies in a bank in the U.S. Which is insured, which is FDIC insured. So we do pay the negative yield, and but we do not pass that on to our customers. So
you eat the negative yield.
We do. The more stable coins we issue, we eat the negative yield. But we just have to figure out a way to creatively offset that negative yield, right? But I think liquidity is the most important. Adoption is the most important. So we're willing to take that negative yield for the customer. So yeah, start taking advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a terrific way to obviously get folks to notice it in the market. I mean, I think I'm certainly excited as an FX trader turned crypto trader that now this is sort of a bridge between two different, very different populations. Now there are millions of people in Asia. I think there's 3.5 million people in Asia outside of Japan that maybe trade foreign exchange. There's obviously the Japanese residents. Europe, you trade foreign exchange just like you would trade stocks in the US. It's almost an obsession. There's less FX trading in the US. There's less firms in the US, but certainly for Europe and Asia, FX trading seems to be a daily pursuit or a daily sport, perhaps, I think, to a lot of folks. And obviously for corporates around the world, foreign exchange is a major thing. But what's something that always astounded me about corporates was, whenever they go over their earnings, if they've got a loss, they always say, "Oh, that was foreign exchange. Don't worry about it." That's always at the end of their earnings statement, like it's something they couldn't hedge. But they can hedge, and I think that the GN makes it a lot easier to hedge foreign exchange risk for a US multinational that's dealing in countries like Japan.
Yeah, totally agree. And yeah, I think the US Forex market is smaller compared to Asia and Europe. However, if you look at the USD JPY pair trading volume in the US, it accounts for like 11% of the overall US Forex market. So I think because of the COVID, a lot of companies are forced to operate in a global environment. An internet companies that were just offline shops, they were forced to take their business online, right? So that opens up the door to the global reach, and of course the currency risk is there as they expand, there's going to be currency risks. GMO has 100 companies transacting between the 100 companies cross border, right? So we do have a lot of exposure to foreign currency risks. So we do have to. A lot of companies will have to come up with a sophisticated hedge strategy, and you just have to pay attention to the forex market in order to sort of protect your business from those risks.
Well, you should certainly have those companies on board with us, Ken. Let's have a discussion about that after the call. But there's a lot of companies. Let's say you're Colgate-Palmolive, you're a multinational company, you're Pepsi, you're Coca-Cola. You know that you're going to have sales in yen. But at the end of the year, sometimes you keep all the yen over there, and then you say, okay, let's do the transfer over. If dollar yen's gone higher or lower, it's going to affect your balance sheet. But this is a way whereby every time you do a sale in Japan, or every time you purchase something or you borrow or you lend in Japan, you can now hedge the FX risk without actually dealing with the FX. So the yen stablecoin becomes a great hedge for borrowers or lenders in Japan, where you can go there where the interest rates are lower than the US. Let's say you could borrow. This was an old thing back in the UK in the 80s, where British people thought, this is great. I can borrow in yen and get a mortgage in yen. The problem is when the yen strengthened considerably from something like 130 or 140 all the way down below 100, the mortgage became exceedingly expensive. But with the yen stablecoin, because you're not dealing with that interest rate risk, you could borrow in yen, you could then you could sell the yen, get the dollars, use the dollars for your mortgage, but then you could also hedge it with a yen stablecoin so that the FX risk no longer becomes that significant. And you can do that if you're a multinational, you can do that if you're an individual. I mean, it really is an incredible thing where you don't have to deal with, it's sometimes a painful process of opening up an international bank account somewhere, because nowadays, we're doing it digital. And as we merge together this huge population of foreign exchange traders, and we introduce them to crypto, we introduce crypto guys to the foreign exchange area as well. The ways that we can sort of move all of these different parts together, it's like Tetris. There's a lot of really cool puzzles that we can put together that make for incredible financial instruments. And having financial instruments that don't shut down on weekends means that you can really create incredible things. Now, USDC right now is used tremendously in DeFi, right? Folks get USDC on the ERC standard, and then they stick it over in DeFi, and that's where a lot of it's held right now. Are you seeing much use for the yen stablecoin right now in DeFi? Because I'm guessing that it's probably going to be used in a large way.
Yeah, I don't think we're quite there yet. We don't see much of a DeFi activity. However, we as GMO Trust, we really do want to participate in the DeFi and DEX space proactively, right? But as a regulated institution, we do have to get some approvals from the regulators, which is taking some time. We are pushing forward with that conversation.
I see Circle's USDC, which is also registered with NYDFS or regulated in that way. I mean, it just seems to me like that's like become the de facto use case for USDC. And certainly there's tens of billions of dollars out there of USDC being used today. And I think that once people get the word out that the yen stablecoin's also out there, I wouldn't be surprised if it starts popping up. And it's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, but we do want to proactively participate in the market, right? Putting in capital. Like, for example, personally, I participate in the Uniswap in ETH and USDC pair, and it's like the liquidity revenue share that you get from Uniswap. It's like 40% annualized, rate. So, as a company, I think it's a no-brainer. You should really look into the space and actively participate. So yeah, I mean, hope we can get the green light from the regulators then.
I mean, if I think of the world in the next 5 years, I'll have a MetaMask wallet or even a better Mask wallet, one that can hold not just Ethereum and Avalanche, but also, let's say, Algorand and Liquid
Oh
and
yeah,
Bitcoin type currencies, but crypto, sorry, and I'll hold it all on my phone. And on my phone, I'll have an NFT of my driver's license, of my COVID ID. I'm sure we'll still need these in 5 years.
yeah,
Of my passport, but I'll also have my currencies. I have my yen stable coin, my dollar stable coins, my euro stable coins. So when I travel, I can just use them and send them off and use it for payments. And I'll probably have my securities as well. You know, something that I don't think a lot of people know is Clayton, when he was the SEC commissioner, was in Philadelphia right before he left, and he did a speech that he said in the next 3 to 5 years, all assets will move on to the blockchain. And he was talking about equities.
mm-hmm.
Now, that was a year ago. So now we're talking 2 to 4 years. In 2 to 4 years, you will self-custody your securities, your currencies, and your IDs all on a wallet on your phone. And I think that's amazing.
And a real estate.
And yeah, real estate too,
Right?
because your title, you know, you're not going to have your title anymore held by a title insurer. Instead, you're going to have an NFT of your title that says that you actually own this and you can sell it to someone else. And I think that you know, that world's amazing, and it's really good that GMO is sort of stepping up in front of that. And I think INX did a similar thing in that, you know, we've got this factory we're building to take all of these equities that are on the blockchain and move them onto all these equities that are in traditional markets and move them onto the blockchain. And I think that, you know, you've done something as well in the FX space where you've taken a currency that's in the FX market and moved that onto the blockchain. And I think that there's room for a lot of companies like us that are doing that are taking legacy assets, moving onto the blockchain, making them so much more democratic, I think, for everyone. Because, you know, to buy the GN, you don't have to open up a bank account. You don't have to go through that process. You certainly have to onboard and go through a KYC and an AML with my exchange, but you don't have to open up a bank account. And you can take it, you can use it, you can send it without anybody saying yes or no. And I know sometimes someone puts money in the bank account and then they want to take $15,000 out and the bank will say, well, you can get it in a week's time or 2 weeks' time, but what are you spending it on? And you say, I'm spending it, and they say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't think we can help you with that payment. And that's, you know, if you're a crypto company, you see this all the time where banks will say, I'm sorry, we don't allow people to make payments to crypto companies. Who's the bank to tell me what I can do with my money? And the yen stablecoin helps with that because it lets people know that they're holding their exposure in yen or yen equivalent, but at the same time, you know, they can spend it how they want.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think this is not just the Japanese yen and Japanese bank issue, but like for any crypto related companies, it's very hard to just move around or even open up a bank account for your business, right? They just decline because you're a crypto firm, high risk, no, right? And even if you have a bank account, like moving Japanese yen outside of the country is a lot of times difficult. It takes time. They go through a multiple manual review process, which ends up being like T+3 to T+5 settlement for many, you know, retail customers and institutions. So, you know, all of these stable coins can basically, you know, solve. So.
Yeah, for sure. But like just on a hedging purpose. So let's say I'm at a bank, I'm at Goldman Sachs, so we're going to be buying a Japanese company in a year's time for $1 billion. So I want to lock in the price today. I don't want to deal with the currency risk. There's a couple of things I can do. I can use options, but you know, options on the underlying, on the actual, on the yen. But I could also go out there and buy some of it in the market. I could buy it on the IMM through the futures. I could buy it in the spot market on an EBS machine or a Reuters machine. But now you add in this, and I can buy it as well in digital format. Now, when I buy it in digital format, I don't have to deal with the bank accounts. I don't have to deal with the nostros, and I don't have to deal with the vol dropping off every single day. And I don't have to deal with negative interest rates. And so it seems to me that it really is, you know, an incredible tool that can be used by larger banks, multinationals, people say often about blockchain that blockchain is always looking for a problem. And I think that this is certainly something that instead is taking an issue, a problem, T+2 or T plus whatever, closed on holidays, negative interest rates. It's taking that a lack of, let's say, liquidity when you actually want it or need it, and you've taken that and you've fixed it. People always say Bitcoin fixes this. Well, GN fixes this too when it comes down to yen payments and settlements. And I think that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Now you've got another stable coin, though, Z dollar. Now, can you tell? I think that I think oftentimes folks hear about stable coins and they think this is going to be 10 times, a 10 bagger. I think I hear it sometimes. Now, obviously, stable coins don't work like that, right? They're linked certainly to something underlying. Z dollar is linked to the dollar. GN is linked, let's say, to the yen, specifically 1-to-1. Z dollar, I'm guessing, is the same way.
Yep, exactly.
And the Z dollar, is there any sort of difference between, let's say, Z dollar and, let's say, a USDC or a Tether that trades in the market right now? How would you define any differences?
Yeah, I think the difference is that we're 100% fiat backed. We don't put any of our customer money into money market or commercial papers or anything like that. So it's 100% fiat currency.
That's a big deal. Gensler, who's head of the SEC, now he came out about a week ago and he said, listen, if you have a stable coin and that's backed by securities, that's a security.
Yep.
So this is a very big differentiation for you in that I think that Circle has come out and said, well, actually, we're backed by money markets and we've got this, we've got that. And that may end up costing them, but Z dollar would then sort of slip into that one and say, well, actually, we're back 1-to-1 with the US dollar.
Yeah, that is correct. And I think the fact that we have the supervision or oversight from the BFS, regulated, we're very compliant. And I think in terms of like the function of the stablecoin, because it's the ERC20 token, it's pretty much similar, right? But I think at the end of the day, we're the one, in partnership with the custody bank, we're the one holding the customer asset that backs the stablecoin, right? So the trustworthiness of the company is very important. Like, are you, do you guys have the ability to operate for the next 10 to 20 to 30 years? And we can confidently say, yeah. I mean, we're part of a large, IT and financial conglomerate. We've been operating for 25 plus years. We're part of that GMO group, right? And we are very committed to the blockchain technology, the cryptocurrency ecosystem. So so that is one of the most important aspects as well.
Now, GMO is huge in the foreign exchange world. I'm hoping that we get it bigger in the crypto world as well. And I remember, I think I met some of your representatives at a conference a couple of years ago, and we talked about listing the GN then. And in the end, you ended up picking us. We're the only exchange in the Americas, my understanding is, as of today, that will be listing the GN. And I think that's really exciting for us. It's an absolute honor for us to be able to list this for you. Can you tell me, you've got a lot of folks all around the world right now that are trading currencies. Are you talking to them about INX and doing any sort of promotional campaign to sort of help a friend out?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're going to be, as we get close to the launch, which will happen in a week or so, right? We're gonna be spreading the word across our PR from at the headquarters level as well, right? We can push out a PR. We can reach out to counterparties in the FX space. We have a lot of synergy between the 100 group companies that we have, and we always speak with each other. We refer customers to each other, etc. So yeah, INX is at the top of the list.
I read somewhere that you've got 13 million people that touch GMO in some way.
Yep.
And payments and FX and wherever it is, like all around the world. Maybe 3 million of those are outside of Japan, but those are staggering numbers. When I think about Coinbase is 5.5 million active users. You've got a lot more active users than Coinbase. And I don't think Americans understand that you're a Nikkei 100 company, which is, it's a significant achievement. It really is a large company with 140 companies under your umbrella or something close to that.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we now say 100 at a consolidated level.
Wow. Well, listen, October 5th is when we start trading it. And we're going to be really excited to have folks come by. I think we've probably got a couple more questions here, but most of these are about my hoodie and how do I get one?
Can I get one?
Yes, I'll send you one, Ken, for sure. You've been hoodies go to people that are very helpful in our community. We've got an incredible community. We've got around 8,000 people now that are token holders of the INX token. And so, they're going to be going out there on social media as well, talking to all of their friends about, what you're doing and what we'll be doing. And I think that that's going to be, incredible to see, because the interesting thing for them is they get 40% of any profits that we make. So they're always in tune with what we're doing, and they're very excited. They're an incredible community. But the GMO community makes ours look like I think a grain of sand. So being able to partner with you on this is excellent. We've really enjoyed working with your team, and certainly look forward to working with them going forward. And I'm just wondering, so guys, we're gonna wrap this up in 3 minutes. If you've got any more questions, I suggest you stick them on the comment chat now, because otherwise we're gonna shut this down. I think we were looking at around 14 minutes, which is where we are right now. Do you see INX being the standard of the future as it relates to regulations and the SEC? I think that there's a lot of companies out there right now that are getting into this space. I think that GMO and INX took a very similar approach, in that we didn't run out the door and then say, we'll break it, then we'll fix it with the regulators. Instead, we went to the regulators first and said, how do we do this? And I think that if you do that with regulators, especially in the financial markets, it's probably makes a lot more sense. And there's lots of folks out there that have gone out there, run out the door quickly. And maybe it's because they came from a technology background and not a financial background, but they ran out the door and then said, don't worry, we'll fix it later. And then they hire lots of folks from the SEC. I think it's really hard to fix things with regulators after you've already broken them. When Euro, when are you going to do Euro stablecoin?
I can't tell you any definitive answers, but we just want to get this Japanese yen stablecoin right. And just a little bit of a tease for you guys. So in terms of the product capability, we're not there in terms of like USDC offers 24/7 instantaneous minting and redemption. That is very difficult to do, especially with the Japanese yen. We're building that, and that's coming. And if we can figure this out, we can expand that into different currencies. So Euro is definitely something we should be looking into in the future, but I don't think I can right now commit to anything or give you a definitive answer, but it's going to be interesting.
So that sounds like there's smoke there. Where there's smoke, there's fire, Ken. That's good to hear. Well, listen, if you want to sign up for the GN and you want to tell your friends all about it, then go to inx.co. We'd be delighted to onboard you and bring you under our umbrella. I think there's a couple of 100 million FX traders out there around the world. Come on in, we've got lots of room. So thank you very much, Ken. Thanks for joining us on this AMA. I think we're going to be doing another one either this week or next. But thank you very much, community, and everyone for listening in.
Thank you, Douglas.
A one-stop shop for cryptocurrencies and digital securities. When others ran from regulators, we found a way to work with the biggest. The crypto trading powerhouse that brought you the first SEC-registered security token IPO offered to the general public is now ready for the ultimate bulls versus bears showdown. The question is, are you? Apply now at inx.co.